First of all, thank you all for coming to join in this sacred celebration of my mother's funeral. First of all, too, I'd like to make a special thanks to my brother Terry, whose health would not allow him to be here today, for all that he had done for my mother in the last few years, to make her and us confident in her being able to stay at home. And then, thirdly, I'd like to thank Lynn and Patty, who through their very gentle and kind work also allowed my mother to stay at home in her wishes to die at home in her bed. So thank you. I want to focus on my mother's role as mother, but first, before I do, I have to tell you a bit about some other aspects of her life. First of all, she was a very intelligent and savvy woman whose wisdom can be distilled into these words of advice. Take good care of the people in your life, and don't worry about the things you cannot control. My mother, as some of us know, often read sometimes a book a week, and she kept track so she wouldn't reread them. She kept a notebook. And some of us know also my mother's stubbornness, or maybe I should better say tenaciousness. Here are some examples. First of all, my sister Pat had brought her many telephones to aid in her hearing. My mother refused each and every one. My sister could give you a pretty good discount on any number of them. She says also in regard to hearing aids, she didn't want them. I can hear what I want to hear. And as far as quitting smoking, no, there are many other worse habits. As far as sports are concerned, Larry Bird was a much better player than Michael Jordan. LeBron James gets away with murder, and baseball is much too pokey. Federer is better than Nadal, and the Celtics coach is playing the wrong guys. That she told me 2 days before she died. But what I want to talk about is my mother's life. It was happily defined by her role as mother. Her schedule of cooking, washing, ironing was often interrupted by kids sick with colds, earaches, or measles, kids with little regard for her sleep, or comfort, or health. The years melted into one long march of kids through her adult life. She always greeted that march of kids with a smile and encouragement, and so little regard for herself that she hardly noticed the drudgery of it all, because the kids were always worth every minute of her time. It's clear that my mother loved her children. They were always the center of her life, and they gave her so many experiences, some wanted, some not, but always accepted, always accepted. That is certainly love. I saw a quote in the paper the other day in Sunday's Journal that I want to pass on to you. It's written by a guy named Rich Benjamin. And he said this. He was talking about a poet who died last week, and he said this: "Love demands our work as surely as anything in this exacting life. It's a brave, bold declaration that unlike the back-breaking work that leaves us feeling numb, this other work of love requires." That was my mother's love for her children, a willingness to engage in that other kind of love entirely. But just as important, she liked us. She truly liked us. Not just her children, but all her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren. Love has that, for better or worse, connotation that accepting no matter what sense, but like implies wanting to be with you, enjoying, however vicariously, the adventures of your life. Like implies choice. Well, that was my mother. She chose to like us all. I can prove it, and I need a little help here. How many here have ever received a birthday card with crisp folding money from my mother? Raise your hand. How many here got Christmas cards from here with crisp, cold folding money? How many did that? Let's see. So, if my math is right, 47 of us received these cards in recent years. And as the family grew, and as she grew older, so did the logistics becoming challenging for her. For instance, money out of the bank of the crisp folding sort, buying the cards appropriate for each one, getting the right dates always posted each month on her kitchen calendar, playing each month's birth dates on Wild Money, making sure of the correct addresses, and mailing the cards. That's 94 cards a year, and that doesn't include the Halloween cards and the Valentine cards and the Easter cards you sent to the little kids. Now, I know I'm spending too much time on this maybe, but it's another example of how my mother made sure she stayed connected to all of us. Not just because she loved us, but because she, as she did, but because she liked all of us. She knew every name, she knew what was going on in every person's life. I have an awful lot of papers. In conclusion, I want to show another example, a personal one. When I was a kid, Roy Rogers, a cowboy star, was my hero. I wanted so much to have a shirt like his. My mother took it upon herself to spend hours each night embroidering my fancy Roy Rogers Western shirt with flowers so I could have a shirt just like his. I love that shirt. I wrote a poem about it for her birthday 20 years ago. The poem, Growing Flowers, is still on the wall of my mother's den. Its concluding line says so much about her. And this is from the last few lines of the poem. That shirt speaks of the way my mother spread her love on the world. Each careful stitch, a measure of my dream. And that's the way it has been for a lifetime. The quiet late night, ironing of 7 shirts, the making of 7 lunches a day, and 7 cakes a week. Quietly, she sowed her flowers in the night, so her children could find their dreams in the light. Thank you.